Welcome back to Dead Good Book Reviews. Please excuse me if I'm a little bit out of practice. This is the first video I'm filming since I've been on hiatus and I don't really know what I'm doing, but you are watching another episode of Overbooked, the series where I talk about every single book on my shelf, and I forgot to look up why. Because I'm in too deep and I'm trying to keep up above in my head. Today we are talking about another, I think, depending on where this video falls in my schedule, book by Gailey. As you will know if you've been following this channel for a while, I am a huge fan of their work. I've loved pretty much everything I've read that they've written, and so it should come as no surprise that I also loved their debut, American Hippo. Some quick disclaimers before we start. I was given this book by a family member for Christmas. I think nobody's paying me to talk about books. All opinions are my own. I'm also going to keep this as spoiler-free as humanly possible, but if you do want to go in knowing absolutely nothing, please pause the video, go away, read the book, come back when you've read it and tell me all your thoughts. You in frame there? Yeah. American Hippo is actually the bind-up of two novellas that follow on from each other. Taste of Marrow and River of Teeth. River of Teeth came first, darn it, May of 2017, and Taste of Marrow published that same year but much later. To pinch the bio that I used in my previous Gailey video, Gailey is a non-binary science fiction fantasy author, uses they-them pronouns. They've also written things like Upright Women Wanted, Magic for Liars I talked about last week. It should have been last week anyway, we'll see. Depending on when this video goes up, their latest book is The Echo Wife, which I'm also absolutely desperate to read. This is what the cover looks like. I'm excited about it. So apparently at one point in time there was a plan to introduce hippos to America as like a meat, cattle, instead of cows. I don't know if a hippo can be cattle. Anyway, hippos as a meat source. So imagine that bill goes through, and twig the timelines a little bit. What you're left with is the setting for these novellas, where we have this very Western, and by Western I mean like cowboys and ranch hands, but instead of farming cows, they're farming hippos. I realise the washing machine's on. We're living our best lives. River of Teeth is sort of like an operation story. I'd call it a heist story. I'd call it a caper story, that kind of thing. Group of people have to do a task. Taste of Marrow follows on from the events and the fallout of that first book. I actually listen to these as audiobooks. Tor novellas are always on Scribd. I really enjoy listening to them. Not affiliated with them in any way, but very much enjoyed that. And I think that what really got me in that is that you can just fully immerse yourself in this world. Gailey writes very well thought out worlds in the sense of how people fit into them and how culture impacts language and so such. I've written in my notes, just swampy goodness. Swampy goodness. I will say I've never been to the part of the world this book is set in, but I feel like I can picture it. A common theme in this review, I think book one is stronger in that sense, and I think it's because there is more of a clear, this is where we're going and we're describing how we're getting there, whereas book two is a little bit less linear in my opinion, so that setting feels a little bit less cohesive, I guess. Unsurprisingly, I really loved the characters in this story. Gailey writes really wonderful characters and includes non-binary characters in this very traditionally kind of, I'm going to use the biggest air quotes in the world, macho setting. And I really liked that fact. I really liked the number of queer characters included. I wasn't surprised by it because I pretty much knew that was what I was going to get going in. But I think that like as an addition to this genre, I think it's really solid. And that's something we've seen in their work before. We see it in Upright Women Wanted. We see it in Magic for Liars less so, but it is still there. And yeah, it's the casual inclusion of it. And I really appreciate the way that they explore kind of like, how am I going to introduce this character's pronouns? How am I going to introduce this character's pronouns to another character? And it just all feels very like this is a world in which this works, and I appreciate that. The plots of both of these books are good if you like a kind of heist caper kind of story. I think book one is a little bit stronger, just that tiniest bit. I think that the emotional payoff of book two is really important as watching these characters go on a journey, but book one is just real solid. Like, I had the best time with it. I could picture it all in my mind. I could see it going on a screen. I would watch the heck out of that film. It was great. Book two, less of that, but much more emotional payoff. So yeah, between the two of them, there's a lot of balance for depending on what you'd like. But overall, I just think that the reason these people have to get together and the kind of constant danger of these feral hippos is just very, very exciting and added more tension than I was expecting it to. And add on to that, all of the betrayals, all of the, are we being duped? Are we the dupers or the dupees? It's very, very good. Oh, I kind of already talked about that. That would have been my con, that they're not equally matched in my opinion as far as what I'm interested in. I do think that doing the bind up is a really smart move on Tor's part. They would be fairly short novellas without it. As I say, I did technically read them separately, but I think that reading them as a whole would be much more fun, and I can see why they've put them together. Also, this cover is really fun, and I enjoy it as a pretty accurate descriptor of what the book is. So yeah, I was pondering what you might want to read if you'd also read this, and I think for a start, Upright Women Wanted would be a really good way to go if you read this and liked it, or you like the idea of it. If you want more of queer characters in a Western setting, this is a dystopian Western. It's in the future, very patriarchal. Librarians. I have a whole review up for this if you want to go watch it. It's one of my favourite books of last year. Another novella featuring trans and queer characters. This is Burning Roses. Again, I have a review up for this. I usually pair these two together, I think because I got them at the same time. You know, do you ever do that? Where you mesh two things? I'm trying to think if I've read any other books with like Western settings. Give me some ideas, shelves. What have I ever read? Nope, my brain won't do it. With that in mind, I'm going to do what I usually do when I can't think of any more books and flip the question back around to you. What kind of alternate westerns or classic westerns that you really enjoy? What are some of those and would I enjoy them? What do you think? Is this something I should be picking up? If you've read The Echo Wife, let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts on that because I need to pick up a copy at some point. Who are some of your favourite non-binary authors? That's always something I'm interested in adding more of to my shelves. I think that's everything I would like to know from you. So there's your homework. Go pop that in the comments below. While you're commenting, do subscribe. It makes me feel loved and appreciated, especially coming back from hiatus. You can also follow me on all of my social media. Come hang out on Discord. We have a lovely time. Group of bookish people. Have a nice time. I think that's all the things you need to do. Like, maybe. I don't know. If you feel like it. That's all from me. And I will see you in the next one. There's gonna be some bloopers now. Every single book in my shelf. Oh, I've not been talking for very long at all. I'm very out of practice at burbling on the internet. That was very quick. Not used to being back yet, but you know.